Hello, everyone. This is Charlotte Jacobs, and it is Thrive Thursday, where I'm here every Thursday giving you tips and strategies to attract more clients. If you're a coach or a holistic practitioner, this is the place to be to discover how to attract more clients. And I hear some really great stories from some holistic practitioners and coaches who, just like you, might be, having a hard time in your business at this point. And we want to change all that. So we want to hear those stories of how they went from where you are to where you want to be. And today, by the way, if you're coming, you're here. I see that Trixie is here and Sally is here. And so please say hello. And I want to introduce our very, very special guest right now. So our special guest today, Leah, you're here. Thanks for being here today.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
I'm so happy to have you here. I'm so excited for everybody to hear your story. So I want to share a little bit about you so people know who you are. So for those of you who don't know who Leah is, she is the Oracle on Purpose. So Leah has over 20 years of experience as an intuitive business architect who's helped intuitive entrepreneurs and inspired leaders find and follow their unique life purpose. Her divinely sourced products and results-driven services have helped thousands of clients in over 76 countries align their unique life purpose with their business strategy to create a powerhouse business that allows them to make money while they're making a difference in the world. So thank you so much for being here, Leah. So glad you're here.
Thank you, Charlotte. I'm so excited that, to get to be here and speak to this amazing group, because I have been so touched by Thrive, and it's made such a big difference in my business and my life that I'm really excited to share my story, and hopefully it inspires someone else too.
Yeah, well, let's start with, everybody always wants to know a little bit more about what you do before we jump into it. I think they kind of want to understand, like, how close are you to what do I do? So tell us a little bit about what you do, and so that we have a little bit of a background reference here.
Absolutely. So I primarily work with business leaders and entrepreneurs who are either intuitive, which I think everybody has their own bit of intuition, but my goal and my focus really is to help them to find a strategy utilizing their talents and their gifts, and sometimes their unique special gifts as healers and or as channels, mystics, things like that, that maybe a little bit on the woo side.
Yeah.
But how to integrate that into an actual practical business strategy so that you don't have to live in both worlds, and that you can have a full integration. And I use the idea and the concept that I use most importantly is to find their unique life purpose and weave that into what they do, so that basically that's their north, their true north, their compass for everything they do in their life and their business. Mm-hmm. And, to give them a strategy that's based on that allows them to make decisions, to clarify things, which I think a lot of people can make, can have challenging choices to make in their businesses. And this allows them to kind of have a real balanced tool to use to figure out what to do next. Also, with that, I like to help people who don't know what they're going to do next. Yeah. Sometimes I heard somebody call me the niche witch, like, just by asking the right questions, figuring out a little bit, drilling down a little bit deeper into what it is that they should be focusing on, using my talents and my own gifts as a channel and an oracle to help divine what it is they should be focusing on. So they don't spend a lot of energy, effort, and time wasted looking around at opportunities and avenues that just aren't really going to pan out for them.
Got it. And I have a feeling that a lot of people be very curious, because that you do have an oracle that speaks to you. So do you want to share a little bit about that? Because I imagine, if I had read the email that I wrote last night about you coming and speaking here today and how the oracle spoke to you, I'd be very curious too. So tell us a little bit about that. Like, how did that happen?
Yeah, well, luckily I was born this way. I have always had a gift of being able to see and know things. Was often told when I was younger, which some of your listeners might appreciate, that I was wise beyond my years, knew things I shouldn't know. But I never really took that seriously when I was really young, until I was about 14 and had my first full body apparition show up in my room. And I was like, okay, that's a little different. Because I was old enough to know what I was seeing was real. I recognized that all these things I had been experiencing my whole life really were happening, and that was a really great gift and a tool for me. And I started using that just because it was part of who I was. But I did shoot off into the corporate world because I thought that I should get a job. And so I tried to do both for a very long time. I was in the corporate world for about, let's see, I started when I was 16, so probably about 14 years in the corporate world, alongside of doing all of my woo-woo stuff on the side on the weekends and running workshops and taking 2 weeks of vacation so I could go do retreats and things like that. But it finally came to a head where I really had to choose to really be my whole self. And that's when the Oracle started to step forward. And once I allowed her to do that, I found that my clients were getting better results faster. Mm-hmm. And so I was really pleased to really bring that forward and really stand in that. And a lot of that came about because of Thrive, for sure.
Oh, sweet. Well, let's talk about that moment. I wrote about it in the email for those that either saw the post or saw the email. And I went back and listened to when, for a lot of people who don't know, at Thrive Academy in our programs, we have a 30-day challenge where we have a launch event, and you learn a whole bunch of templates, and you have a bunch of breakthroughs, and you get really, really ready to go out there and, attract more clients, whether it's through speaking or through hard selling or whatever it is. And this is in our client attraction mastery program. And so you came to the launch event, and then 30 days later, we have the acceleration event. And then we give a point system based on actions you take. And obviously dollars you earn really has a big influence on those actions and how many points. And you were one of the people who earned the top 10 number of points. So you got to be on stage and share a little bit about your breakthrough. So I went back and listened to that story. And as I said in the email, from what I heard, you were like sick with a fever, 6 days, trying to take care of your son, your 5-year-old son, while your husband was away. So tell us this whole story of what happened here and how this really was a breakthrough for you.
Sure. Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm sure as a mom, you can understand that, we are super moms. We can do it all. Right. We have it all under control. Just add another thing. It's no problem. And so, as I said, I left the corporate world and said, I'm going to go and do this full time. And then I got pregnant. And I had my beautiful son at later time in life. And my husband had his business that I had always been a part of to some degree. But what I found out that weekend was, as he left to go away for the weekend for a trip himself, I got sick just before he left. But I was fine. Don't worry. Go ahead. Go do your thing. I can handle this. And I was in the middle of the challenge. So I was also trying to ramp up and be a part of this exciting challenge. I had a team. I had a group of people that I was working with, and we were all doing it together. So I've made really big commitments, and that was kind of all coming to a crescendo. And all of a sudden I was sidelined, completely blindsided by an amazing amount of pain, and I had a fever, and I literally couldn't get off the couch, and still kept going with my son and myself, and sent a message to my husband one day saying, well, I'm not feeling so great. Not telling him that I really literally was, sending my son to watch his cartoons while I was holed up in a fetal position on the couch, just trying to get through. And in this process, I was really frustrated because I had gotten some momentum. I had really started to kind of see some big changes happening in my business. I was getting new clients. Things were getting really exciting. And it was like a crash. And so I was really aware, very aware that this didn't come out of the blue for no reason. So I was really trying and listening and asking, what's going on? Why is this happening to me? And one particular night, just a few days before he actually ended up coming home, on what really ended up being the worst night, I was up because I couldn't find a position. So I was just sitting in this position, and I had this fever and I couldn't make it stop. And all of a sudden, the Oracle spoke to me and said, you need to quit working with your husband. Now, I love my husband. We have a great business. It has done really well for us. But I recognize in that moment that I was still holding on to a new set of golden handcuffs, right? It was well, I don't really have to work hard. I don't really have to do this because I've got this other thing here that's kind of taking care of me. Also, underneath that was, what if I make more than he does? What if I suddenly become the one who's really shining as bright as I really could start to see myself shine with the work that was happening and the things I was doing and how well the templates were helping me to really break through and speak about myself. Because the one thing that I knew, I've been doing this for so long, was I recognized in those templates that my positioning stunk, that I was terrible at that. And so when I started using those tools to really create some good positioning, I suddenly recognized that I could really do this. I could really step up to this new level that I've been wanting to for so long. And so I think a lot of that kind of got tied up in me. And yet I just knew when that voice came through so clearly, as it does so often for my clients, that I couldn't help but listen to it. Mm-hmm. And so my husband came home and I broke the news to him. We're just the best of friends. And so he wants the best for me. And amazingly enough, as kind of scared as I was to have that conversation, we made it work. And he said, I think it's great. I think it's your time. I think it's your turn. Go for it. And I just did. I never looked back. It was my best month ever at that point. I can't remember the number. I was trying to look up the number the other day. I don't know. It was like $30,000 during that contest that I had made in just a few weeks, like 18 days. And 6 of those I was on the couch. So, it was pretty incredible. And it was a great reflection of the fact that using these templates, really being aware of what your value is, and that's important, that people want to see you value yourself, that they will recognize you and want to work with you, of course, when you do that. So those things really shifted how I showed up and gave me permission to really use my own gifts even more for myself as well as my clients. And, now today it's incredible. I kind of have to laugh. Like I saw the title you used, and I think back, the reason I told you that I started at 53 cents is I literally at one point in my life lived on the streets with 53 cents in my pocket. I had nothing but the clothes on my back and 53 cents in my pocket. And I remember that all the time now. Like, I can do anything. I have come from that place of not knowing what the next steps are. And a lot of that comes from my gift, listening to the Oracle. And I will tell you that I got to 53 cents because I stopped listening. So, listening really was a big part of that, but also looking for resources. That was the biggest thing that she gave me in the last year prior to coming to Thrive, was investing in myself, investing in where I was going. And every time I made that investment, I checked in with, is this bringing me closer to my purpose? Is this allowing me to do more and reach more people? And yeah, sometimes, I've spent easily $100,000 on coaches and tools and trainings over the years. And every penny I've ever spent has been well worth it. I was no exception to that.
Well, I love that. And I think that I love that you say that. There's so much you said I want to talk about, but I love that you say that, because there is that question of, a decision is up. And a lot of times there is a question about, should I invest in this program? And the very best thing to do is to go inside and to ask, because people can get so wrapped up and knots in their stomach. And it's really about having that empowered yes or that empowered no and being crystal clear. And I love that you took that process, used that process when you were deciding about Thrive and other coaching programs that you've used. Well, and let's actually talk about, so what was going on in your business before you came to the Client Attraction Summit? Like, how did you hear about Thrive and what had you decide to come?
I kind of joked that I was like a lone wolf for a long time. First of all, I was a secret agent. I hid out and I just did the stuff on the side. But then even when I came out and left the corporate world, I just kind of hunkered down in my little office and I took what came to me and I, networked like most people do. And I went out to meetings and I talked to people, but it was just me. And because I didn't have the experience of understanding how to really tap in and connect with people on a level that would bring them, would take them beyond just saying, oh, that's interesting, and take action. As I found when I read your book before I came to Summit, I was like, oh, I don't have any wood. I don't really ever ask, do you want to work with me? Or I don't have that piece of this puzzle. And then I've been missing it. So had to laugh that probably I left a lot of money, honestly, on the table for a long time because I wasn't using that. And so I met, actually, it was Molly Mandelberg. I actually knew a lot of people from Thrive through other things that I had done. And when I met Molly and she kind of came and worked on one of my workshops with me, she was like, like if you just did these things, you would be so much further along. And I finally listened to her as well. And I said, okay, well, I'm going to go check it out. And then I looked around and saw how many people I knew that were doing amazing things and really making big changes in their businesses that had belonged to Thrive. And I was like, wow, there's got to be something going on here that I don't get yet. And I'm definitely a person who likes to learn new things and takes advantage of them. So I was like, well, I'm going to go and see what I can find out. And I think, by the first break, I was ready to become lifetime because I was like, well, these are my people. Because the other thing I recognized really at that moment was, oh, I don't really have to do this alone anymore. Like I can have other people who are at this level, who are looking at making the world a better place, who are passionate about what they do, who are eager to talk about that, on a regular basis. So it was like, wow, this is different than anything else I've done, any other networking groups or mastermind groups I've done in that vein. And so it was an easy yes for me, really, that day to say, yeah, let's do this. I want to stay engaged. I want to stay on the train. I want to do as much as I can because I know that the more I get out there, the more people I can help. And honestly, that's my entire focus. My entire focus is, my unique life purpose is to help as many people as I can find and follow their purpose. So the more people I can help, the better off the world's going to be.
That's wonderful. And when was that you came to the summit?
Wow. It was, I think it was a year ago. Gosh, can it only be a year?
Was it September of 2017?
September of 2017, yeah.
Okay. You jumped right into Client Attraction Mastery, started in October, the launch event was October, and then in November of 2017. So you like right off the bat had a smoking month, and and I had actually written 10,000 in the headline about this, but that's right, it was closer to 30,000. I just didn't have those numbers in front of me. I went searching for them too. And super, super exciting. And I'm curious, Leah, with all of this, the money is wonderful. And obviously you're getting to do the work that you love. What are some of the other, benefits of just really having this level of success?
The one thing that I think that has been really exciting for me is my family, our goals and our visions as a little trio, there's the three of us, has always been to travel and see the world and show our son the world and how amazing our life in the world can be. So,
by the way,
super cute. I'm a little biased.
No, he's cute. He's a cute kid.
He's cute.
Yeah.
But, so one of the great things is I got to change, my lifestyle is so much different than it used to be. We actually get to travel now. I take 2 international retreats a year. So I take my family with me. I got to design the life I really wanted. I think that's the biggest thing. Like because we were already entrepreneurs and that was already our goal, this just gave us the opportunity to do it in a whole nother way, in a much bigger way than we thought possible at the time. Like we thought we'd maybe be here in 10 years with our original business. Because of course, at that point, I was just kind of bringing in working a little on the side kind of a thing. So we've been able to we've gone to Thailand, we've gone to Costa Rica, we're going to,
where's your next
trip? Ghana in February, we're going to Italy in the fall. We already got Ireland on the books for 2020. So we have changed our entire focus to be about experiencing our lives in the best way possible. So, all of the things that we're doing really are fulfilling our dreams as individuals, but also giving, hopefully, both of us have businesses that are service and oriented, giving back to the world so that people can have happier lives as well.
That's beautiful. It's beautiful. And you recently were in France with a bunch of other Thrive women. Right. So I wish we had screen share because I love this picture of you women. I put it in a slideshow for webinars that I've been doing because it's so fun to look at these women. Like, you're so fully self-expressed. You all look gorgeous. You're like in Paris with champagne. So tell us about the trip and what were you there for? What was that about?
Yeah, and then that kind of speaks to the fact that this is our new lifestyle, right? So when I left Costa Rica, I had heard about Natalie Chaperon's Divine Feminine retreat in France, and and part of it was going to the Mary Magdalene Caves, which has always interested me from a spiritual aspect. And so I was like, wow, I really want to go to that. I really, I chapped in. I'm like, I think I should go to that. And so I told my husband that. We went to Costa Rica. And right before we got back, he's like, oh, but aren't you going to France? And I was like, well, you're going to let me go to, we just got back from Costa Rica. And, like I said, it's just literally just the three of us. I'm like, you're going to have Liam. Like, I'm going to be gone for 2 weeks. And he's like, yeah, I thought you already were going. I'm like, okay, then I'm going. And so having the flexibility to just choose what we want to do rather than what we can do, I think is really the biggest piece of our life that's changed. It's like, it's not so much what we should do or can afford. It's like, what do we want to do? And we spend our time and energy focusing on that. So so I got the opportunity to say yes to that, which was incredible. Aside from the amazing shopping in Paris, which was just mind blowing, it was really deeply spiritual, and it was for a chance for me to connect to other women leaders who were also on a similar journey and at a totally great connection of heart and spirit and visibility, like stepping up, all of us stepping up together. It was really amazing. It was incredible. Yeah.
When I look at that picture, I go, okay, like every single member of that retreat was a 10,000 hour month club and member in Thrive, except for one, 10,000 a month. There's only one that wasn't in the 10,000 hour month club, and she's 9,000 hour month, and so she'll be there. And just I know I can feel it.
Minutes.
Right? Yes, minutes. Yes, and I just thought, what a fantastic group of women, like really soulful, heartfelt, beautiful women, goddesses doing great work in the world, really living their purpose and getting to shop together in Paris.
So much fun.
Oh my gosh. Well, and I'm curious, you've also taken Six-Figure Speaker, and so you're out there speaking. I'm sure people want to know a little bit about, how does your business work now? Like, how do you get clients? Where do you get, what's your business model? I imagine you do consultations as part of your business model.
I do consultations. Actually, just speaking of $10,000 month clubbers, Melissa had I took advantage of Melissa's offer, and I actually just created a quiz. Nice. So that's a new thing, powerbizquiz.com, if you want to check it out. And it's a really great thing. What I like about that as a tool, because it allows for people to come in and kind of get a taste of what they're going to be talking to me about. So it's great because it helps me to clarify who I'm going to be talking to in those consults. So that'll be new. That just happened. But mostly for me, many of my clients are referrals, and I do speak. I also do live interviews. So I'll do consults from those interviews as well. I'll offer that as well. And I belong to some local organizations, women's groups, moms that own businesses. It's called The Mob. And I get a lot of clients from there. Some of my clients have come from the Facebook posts that through the Thrive templates. Those have been really good, actually, when I've run those. Note to self to run a new one again. But yeah. Well, and that's something I got to do that was really exciting. Was I had hired, I think it was in like maybe December of last year. I hired an assistant because I needed one, because I was really getting crazy busy. I'm ready to hire another one because obviously I'm getting even more busy right now. So yeah, so I utilize those, like some of those tactics, but really I think for me, it's when I get a chance to speak to people. So speaking is really great for that. I've done a couple of like larger speaking gigs where I've worked with like a conference kind of setting. But I do a lot more of like webinar talks and things like that. And that's really helpful as far as getting people to know who I am and get a little picture of me. And so those are the pieces that I'm using. I think the primary right now, because I've been kind of off, is the referrals from people that I've worked with already. But it's also about asking for those referrals too. So it's been really a combination of all the things. And that's the great thing. Like I love Thrive for that. Like there's a there's a template for that, as we say.
A template for everything. Right.
And you know, and I love that they're customizable. Like I can take what is relevant to what I'm trying to get out and use a template and put my own words to it, or use a template that maybe, for example, would have been a Facebook template, but it really speaks to like sharing to a particular group, and I might use that as part of my bio. You know, there's lots of ways to use them, I think, that even just straight as they stand. So I'm pretty creative. I like to use lots of tools. So yeah, I consider those really good tools for my toolbox for sure.
Yeah, it's really exciting. And you actually sent me a message recently. You just had $100,000 month. Is that right?
I did. Yeah.
How did that happen?
Well, it kind of snuck up on me. September. Yeah. No, wait. So September is gone. So I guess it was August. Yeah. So August finished off with $100,000. One of the ways that I did that was I did thanks to Thrive. One of the things I started was packages and programs. Mm-hmm. I have an online academy that I've had for years, and that's where I've gotten a lot of my students as well. But when I started offering packages, I started having better results with my clients. So I'll be very frank with that. I think that I know that it takes minimum of 3 to 6 months for someone to really have the true transition and transformation that they're looking for with the work that I do. Mm-hmm. So I recognize, I think it was, I don't know, could have been you or Jesse. I won't say I know for sure, but I know that during one of the weekends, one of my ahas was recognizing that I needed to stand up for them. Yeah, I wanted to make sure they got results because that's so important to me. So then I needed to give them something that I knew would get them results. Mm-hmm. So that's when the packages started to make more sense to me. It wasn't so much that I was just trying to sell a bunch of appointments, but that I knew that if they did these appointments, that they would get the best results. So that's kind of where I started with those packages. And so one of my newest packages includes the retreat. And so I actually created a year-long package. It's called the Master Creators Premier Program. And that program includes the client's choice of a retreat. Because what I saw at the retreats is this huge transformation and this bonding of the little bit of a community, because there's only 10 people in the group. And then we have the follow-up every month for 6 months. So it's like this really juicy, extra special bonus to working with me for a year. Uh-huh. And when I offered that, it got gobbled up.
Yeah, I bet it did. I bet it did.
So that was a big push on there, was just having that as something that I would have never had before I went to Thrive. Mm-hmm. So just kind of understanding like what's the best value for my client so that they can get the best results. And then offering it. Yeah.
This is such a big paradigm shift from, a package is about selling a bunch of appointments. Well, that's going to feel yucky, right? Like, is that really serving someone? To a package is the very best way that I can serve my clients. If you're working with people privately, you have got to sell packages. I don't care how freaking good you are. I mean, Leah, we can tell you carry yourself with such a level of authority in your being that we know you have such a deep level of confidence with your ability to channel the oracle and to share her wisdom and to share your own wisdom with your clients. So we can totally feel that. And I imagine that before you probably were doing one session at a time. People think, I want to go get a psychic one reading. I want to get this one problem solved. But the reality is that it takes time to have deep and lasting transformation in your life. And people do need to work with you, and not just you, Leah, but all of you who are watching. They need to work with you on an ongoing basis. And that's why packages, premium programs and high-end packages, that is the way to go. It is the way your business is going to be sustainable, and you are going to be able to serve your clients more deeply. So I love that. And now you've got that wood, you're offering it. So much. I mean, as you shared all these things that you're doing in your business, it's like, you're basically just following the formulas. Like, you had a lot of talent coming in, you're really gifted, and you're following the formulas, and now a lot more people are getting to receive your gifts.
That's true. Absolutely. And I find that like, even with my own clients now, I'll say, well, let's talk about how we can leverage that. Like that comes off my head all the time, because I'm like, okay, well, great. We're going to do this thing. Let's make sure we're using it everywhere and every way we can. And I think that, again, that's just something that when Thrive brought that to my attention, and I looked at my own business and how I'd been running it for 20 years. It's like, God, no wonder I'm so tired. Like there's like, it's like I'm just reinventing and reinventing and reinventing. And you know, I think in today's world, content is king and connection matters. So how do we stay connected with our clients? How do we do our best work if we're always constantly trying to recreate content? And so that was a really good piece for me too, was to recognize that if I could take and harness all of the content that I've had for 20 years, by the way, I could really streamline a lot of what I was offering and still give really good service. And I think that's so important.
That's awesome. Well, it sounds like it's such a yummy experience for the people that get to work with you. The idea of like the retreat with just like 10 other women and 6 months of follow up after. And I mean, it just sounds so juicy, and no wonder it got gobbled up, right? Well,
Yeah.
Yeah. So a couple of other questions. So if people want to find you, where would they find you online?
Online, they can find me really easily at oracleonpurpose.com.
Great. Okay. Yep. Easy.
Easy.
Wonderful. And wonderful. And I'm also curious, you know, if somebody was sitting here right now, we actually have our Client Attraction Mastery open. It's whether it's the live or the online version of the program, depending on people's personality and how they want to learn best. I'm curious if you had a little piece of advice for people that were thinking about that program, what would you say to them?
Oh, you know, I think the thing that helped me the most really was putting aside all that I already knew, because I had come in this with having worked in this world for 20 years, and taking that hat off and just wanting to hear from another person's perspective how I might do it differently, and just accepting that it might be different, and trying things that you never tried before so that you can see what the results really are for yourself. Mm-hmm. So, you know, have an open mind, really follow the templates as, you know, until you know them enough that you can start to tweak them. Because I think that, you know, even for myself, there was some resistance, like some of these things I'm like, well, I've done this for so long, I know. And then when I'm like, well, what if I just tried it this way? And then, you know, luckily I was shown that, yeah, that's really helpful. Okay, great. So yeah. I think it's just like giving yourself permission to try something different and really take advantage of it, because whether you stay or not, and you just go to the summit, I guarantee you're going to walk away with some tools that are going to help you improve your business on some level or another.
Nice. Thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah. Yeah. And I would say for everybody, it's really about, you know, going inside and really taking a look at, like, is this the place to be? And I think it's interesting because we are talking to folks through Attract Clients Now strategy sessions. And there is that opportunity to really learn a little bit more, you know, learn more about the program, kind of understand more about what it would give for you and your business. And it's a little different than if you come to Client Attraction Summit, because there you have to actually experience the community. And especially if you were referred by friend, you know, like you were referred by Molly and a bunch of other friends that were already in the community. So you kind of get a sense of who's here. But it is a really sweet and special community of people. Absolutely. So wonderful. Well, for those of you who are interested in really discovering what the weakest link is that is stopping you from attracting as many clients as you want, I want to invite you to take advantage of an Attract Clients Now strategy session. So I'm going to go ahead and put this on the screen right now. You can go to masterclientattraction.com/session. And what your coach that's going to talk with you is going to do is she's going to, first she'll take a little assessment so we can understand, you know, where you're at right now. I'm going to ask you to do, you know, answer some questions before you show up. And then your coach is going to help you discover what that weakest link is, give you some powerful, like really strong, powerful recommendations to help you move forward. And if it seems like a good match to move forward with us in Client Attraction Mastery, then she will recommend that to you as well. So you can go to masterclientattraction.com/session. I've put it here in the title. I'll also put it in the comments after we're done here and in the main description of the interview today. So, and we would really love to welcome you and honor you and welcome you into the Thrive community, because it's an awesome community. So
it is so fantastic. Absolutely.
Yeah, I feel like there's this, like, if you're a really smart person who's also deeply spiritual, you'll love us, you know?
Right.
That's
right.
like really like who the best people for Thrive are the people that are deeply spiritual and are pretty smart, you know? Like,
right.
Yeah. Yep. So if you find that
Absolutely.
that seems like that makes sense for you, then yes. Well, wonderful. Well, Leah, any parting words of anything you want to leave anybody with who is here listening today?
Absolutely. I think that the one thing I would say and the Oracle would share is remember that if you're watching this right now, it's happening on purpose. That nothing happens by chance, that everything that we see and feel and experience is part of our process, and that the universe doesn't happen to you, it happens through you. So thanks for being here. Thanks for listening. And thank you, Charlotte and Jesse, for creating this incredible organization that is helping so many people make a big difference in the world. I appreciate you.
You are so welcome. And I appreciate you. I really appreciate that reminder too. Like anytime we can be reminded to just really tap in and know the universe is here for us, then just makes our whole day a lot better. Thank you for the beautiful work that you do in this world. Thanks for coming and sharing your story today, Leah. It was really inspiring. I want to invite you as your, comment and share what was most inspiring for you about the story. There, give Leah some gratitude for coming to share. There's lots of I love your story. Two awesome women here. Hello, fellow thrivers. I see some kitty cat smiles and heart eyes and lots of love for you here in the comments. So I think both you and I will probably come back and check these.
Yeah.
Over the next 24 hours or so. So even if you're watching the replay, go ahead and share. All right, everyone. Well, thank you so much. Have a wonderful day. Until next time, this is Charlotte signing off because your people are waiting for you.